Hello, I am Maggie Peer, the town's Sustainability and Resilience Officer, and I'm presenting tonight on Article 27. As I will explain in more detail, the purpose of Article 27 is to make minor updates to the town's existing fossil fuel infrastructure bylaw in preparation for application to a demonstration pilot run by the Department of Energy Resources, or DOER, that will authorize 10 communities to regulate fossil fuel infrastructure in both new construction and major renovations. To better understand this article, we need to go back to 2021. In March 2021, Article 29 passed at annual town meeting by over 90%. The article included a home rule petition to request authorization to regulate fossil fuel infrastructure in new buildings and major renovations, and a bylaw to enact those regulations. The goal was essentially banning new fossil fuel infrastructure with some key exemptions. Around the same time period, many other communities passed similar home rule petitions and bylaws. These were on hold with the Attorney General's office for some time before a state climate bill called an Act Driving Clean Energy and Offshore Wind was signed into law in August of last year. This bill included a charge for DOER to create a demonstration project that would authorize 10 communities, including Lexington, to regulate fossil fuels as desired in our original 2021 bylaw. One requirement of the pilot program is that all participating communities must meet a 10% threshold on the subsidized housing inventory, which Lexington already does. Then at special town meeting last fall, Article 13 passed, again by over 90%. Article 13 also made minor technical corrections to the fossil fuel infrastructure bylaw in an effort to streamline acceptance into the pilot program. However, that was before the DOER issued draft regulations for the program, and therefore before we had full information. DOER's draft regulations and draft model bylaw came at the end of 2022. Lexington, including town council, participated very actively in providing feedback to DOER during the public comment period to ensure an effective pilot program. The last relevant piece of this story happened just over a month ago when town meeting passed the specialized stretch code by over 90%. Passing the specialized stretch code is a requirement of participation in the demonstration pilot. So that brings us up to the present. DOER's final regulations are complete and are soon to be publicly available. Through Article 27, the town is proposing minor updates to once again ensure alignment with DOER's regulations and recommendations now that we have seen the draft regulations. DOER has reviewed Lexington's previously passed bylaw and our proposed updates for compliance with DOER's regulations, so we are confident that with these changes, we will be eligible for acceptance into the pilot. Acceptance into this pilot program is essential because nearly 70% of Lexington's greenhouse gas emissions come from our buildings. If we are going to achieve net zero emissions and have healthier, more resilient buildings, we need to stop building with fossil fuels as soon as possible. So I will quickly just review the proposed amendments. You will note that only one actually changes the application of the bylaw at all, and that change leads to easier implementation rather than harder. So the first change is just adding DOER's definition for combustion equipment. The second is updating the definition of major renovation to DOER's recommended definition that is consistent with the stretch code. 3, and this is the only one that changes the application at all, is updating the exemption for hot water systems for large multifamily buildings to DOER's recommended exemption. Our existing bylaw allowed for an exemption based on price, and this one allows for gas or propane domestic water heating until a specified date in 2027 instead. The fourth, we've added DOER's recommended biomass heating exemption, which doesn't actually change the application because biomass heating was already exempt in the stretch code. Next, we reordered and reworded our list of exemptions with no change of meaning to more closely match DOER's list. And finally, we referenced the we added a reference to the recently passed specialized building code to ensure better integration between this bylaw and the code. So what's next? If Article 27 is passed, the town will move forward by submitting an application to DOER for the fossil fuel-free demonstration pilot. These minor updates put Lexington in position to be one of the 10 communities accepted into the pilot. Also, if passed, this bylaw will go into effect 90 days after the town is authorized by DOER to regulate fossil fuel infrastructure. Thank you, and I hope you will choose to advance Lexington's climate and resilience goals by voting in favor of Article 27.